This is the Wolfbox G900 Pro, a cutting-edge rear-view mirror touchscreen dashcam which films in up to 5K HDR quality or 4K when coupled with its 2.5K reversing camera for keeping an eye on both ends of your vehicle whilst you're driving or parked up, at day or in the night. I'm going through both the basic and ultimate extended packages, plus pretty much all the add-ons you can get, because it really is an impressive system that offers complete security for your vehicle in an innovative way. And just so you know, Wolfbox kindly provided the G900 Pro so I can make this video, though all the thoughts and opinions are my own. They've also provided a 20% discount code for anyone who'd like to get one for themselves. There's a link in the description below, and just enter the code LENSOFJAMES at checkout to save some money. Let's take a closer look. The G900 Pro comes in a really nicely designed box which, once opened up, houses the main element, the rear view mirror dashcam. The first thing to mention is that it's not a mirror at all. It's completely digital and is in fact the screen for viewing the camera and adjusting settings from. But it does sit in the vehicle where the mirror normally would. It's a really smart design, feeling weighty and well made, and is 30 cm or 12 inches across at its longest point and 8 cm or just over 3 inches wide, so you've got a nice big screen to look at. Turning it over, on the back is the 170-degree front-facing 5K camera lens with the Wolfbox logo next to it. Along the top and bottom are 4 clips for securing the device in place, which I'll explain in more detail later when I come to install it, and on the bottom edge is the red power button. A short press wakes up or puts the dashcam to sleep, while a long press turns it on or off. On the top edge you've got your ports, and facing upwards is an ideal location for hiding the wires in the roof of your vehicle. Up first is a USB-C port for powering the device. Next to it is an AV port for connecting the rear camera. Then there's the microSD card slot, and the device comes with a 128GB card installed. And finally, there's a port to connect a GPS module. Putting the screen to one side, there are lots of other accessories included in the box. Up first is the 2.5K reversing camera with a metal tilting mount and a cable which is around 7 meters or 23 feet long. The cable has a 2.5mm jack for plugging into the screen module just shown, and also has a red wire for connecting to your reversing light wire, so when you put the vehicle in reverse, the reversing camera immediately shows on the screen to help with parking. I'll go through how to install that later on, but the reversing camera also comes with a double-sided sticky pad and screws for attaching it to the vehicle. There's also the addition of a second reversing camera mount which has a Z-type fold, and this is for extra adjustability if you were installing the reversing camera in an alternative location such as inside your vehicle. It also comes with a sticky pad and screws, and the camera is IP67 waterproof. Next up is the power cable, and it's a 12V to USB-C cable with the addition of a USB-A port so you can power or charge another device such as a phone through it. The cable is 3.5 meters or 11.5 feet long. Then there's the GPS module mentioned earlier, which has a 2 meter or 6.5 foot long cable to connect it to the screen unit, and a sticky pad on the underside of the module to stick it to the windscreen and get a GPS signal. Up next are 2 large and 2 small rubber straps for attaching the screen unit over the top of an existing rear view mirror. They're a bit stretchy to accommodate different sized mirrors, though there are other mounting methods which I'll show shortly. At the bottom of the box are 5 sticky pad cable tidy clips to keep the wires in place after the install, a plastic trim removal tool for hiding cables in the vehicle without damaging the interior, a lens cloth, and 2 Wolfbox stickers with a pretty cool design if I do say so myself. Finally, there's a user manual and quick start guide. So that's what's in the main box, but there are a number of accessories you could also get to complete the setup. Up first is an alternative mounting method which doesn't involve attaching the screen to your rearview mirror, either because of the weight or perhaps you don't have one. Instead, you can use this tilting sticky pad to turn the mirror style screen into a dashboard screen. It comes in 2 pieces with the metal bar screwing onto the back of the sticky pad mount with the included screws. You can then use the 2 extra rubber straps to hold the screen firmly to the mount. There's also another mounting option which I don't have here, which is an arm for attaching the mirror to the mounting point of your original mirror. Wolfbox has 7 different brackets, making this mounting method compatible with around 40 different vehicles. Check out their website for full details and compatibility. The next accessory is the hardwiring kit, which will provide constant power to the G900 Pro. At one end there's the USB-C cable to plug into the device. while at the other end is a red, yellow and black ground cable for attaching to the fuse box of the vehicle. This isn't too difficult to do and will free up your 12-volt port, and I'll go into a bit more detail about how to do this later in the video. The hardwire kit comes with 4 pairs of fuse taps suitable for most vehicles, a trim removal tool to help deal with the wires, and an instruction booklet. If you've got a very long vehicle such as a van, truck or bus, you may need an extra long reversing cable, which is also available from Wolfbox. They have 33 and 55 feet long ones on their website. The final accessory is a polarizing filter which fits over the front lens and will reduce glare and reflections on your video, as well as protect it and make the colours more saturated. It slots onto the front of the lens, though I found it to be quite a tight fit and I was worried about damaging the lens by pushing it on too far. It's also a bit bulky and leaves a bit of a ring around the edges of your video footage, but it does reduce the glare considerably. It comes in this nice tin with a cleaning cloth and information for use. So that's the G900 Pro and all the exciting gear you could get with it unboxed. Now let's see how it's installed and how it works. If you've already got a sturdy rearview mirror in your vehicle, then attaching the G900 Pro is easy. With the rubber straps to hand, simply hold the screen unit up to the mirror, making sure the camera extends beyond the mirror so its view isn't blocked, and then hook the straps over the attachment points to hold the screen in place, and it's best to ensure that it isn't loose in any way. If you want to use the sticky pad mount, then attach the pad to the mount, screw the mounting bar onto the sticky pad mount, and you can attach the screen to it with the straps, much like the first method of mounting. You could in theory use this mount on your windscreen instead of the dashboard to have it hanging in place where a rearview mirror normally would, but if I did this, I'd swap the sticky pad out for one which can withstand heat and UV, as it'll be supporting a fair bit of weight in an inverted position. It's also quite a bulky mount, which I feel could be made slightly sleeker. Wiring the screen to the vehicle is simple, with the 12-volt to USB-C power cable, which can be plugged into the port on the screen. As you don't want the cable in the way, potentially blocking visibility or getting caught on things, the best method of wiring the screen is hiding the cable in the vehicle's trim. Handily, the cable is already pointing upwards, but you can work your way around the edges of the vehicle, tucking the cable away until you reach the 12-volt port. In my case, I can push it easily into the headliner above me, but it doesn't go so easily into the plastic pillars. In most vehicles, you can remove door seals, pop off bits of the trim, feed the cables through and snap them back in place. After feeding the cable down the pillar towards the door, you can run the cable along the footwell towards the 12-volt port, which in this vehicle is between the 2 front seats. Once there, plug into the 12-volt port and you're good to go. When you start the vehicle, the screen will start up, show the camera and begin recording. With the device on, you can adjust the camera lens and make sure it's pointing at the road in the position you want. At this point, it's a good opportunity to install the GPS module too. The wire can be plugged into the port on the G900 Pro screen, and the module itself needs to be stuck facing upwards towards the sky, so finding a corner of your dashboard might be ideal with the wires tucked away. One note of safety though, do ensure the dash cam doesn't obstruct your line of sight and the wires don't block any airbags. The mount should be positioned outside of your direct line of sight. The alternative method to power the G900 Pro is to hardwire it into your vehicle's fuse box. This process starts with finding the right fuses to use, checking which direction the power flows in and out of the fuses, inserting the fuses, and attaching them to the device. If you've got the hardwiring kit, then the only additional tool you'll need is a digital multimeter. There are a number of configurations with which you can wire the G900 Pro into your vehicle for different power options, such as if you wanted it to be always recording, for it to record in parking mode, or to not turn on at all. They're all listed in the manual that comes with the hardwiring kit, and it's nice to have different options to choose from and may also help with any installation queries. Hardwiring the device in doesn't mean your battery will run down, however. The kit is limited, so it will turn off the device if it detects the vehicle battery voltage getting too low. I haven't shown the full hardwiring process here, but I've created a complete step-by-step guide on how to hardwire a device to your vehicle's fuses, which I'll link to in the description below if you're interested. With the G900 Pro installed and wired up, it will automatically turn on and start recording when the vehicle's started, and will show the front and rear camera if both are installed. In the top left corner, you've got the length of time it's been recording, followed by the resolution. It'll say 5K if one camera is plugged in, and will switch to 4K plus 2.5K if the rear camera is present too. On the right hand side you have shortcuts to mute sounds and connect to Wi-Fi at the top, with the time below it, the date and day of the week below that, and finally a shortcut for voice commands. There's also a further icon that will display on the screen when you have the GPS module plugged in. It will show the speed and driving direction, which is another nice touch. At this point I have to mention the screen quality, as it really is fantastic. The image is sharp and clear with excellent realistic colour. It's very responsive too, with very little lag whatsoever. You can simply swipe left or right on the screen to change between viewing the front, rear or both cameras, and when viewing the cameras separately, you can swipe up and down to see more of the image. Tapping the screen once will bring up the bottom menu, which consists of the record button to start and stop recording, the brightness button which brings up a slider, a button to switch between the views of the front, rear or both cameras, a capture button which takes a photo on both cameras of the current scene, a protect button to lock the current clip and ensure it can't be overwritten, and a playback button which takes you to a page to view all your footage. Starting on the left, you can choose which camera to view, then select from footage, protected clips and photos, and then select your file. Tap a file and it will begin playing, again with absolutely no lag. In the player you can scrub through the footage easily and enter full screen mode to have a closer look. On the right of this screen, the top button allows the clips to be selected, deleted or locked en masse. Back on the home screen, the next button along allows you to turn audio recording on and off, and the final button takes you to settings. There's a lot to play with in settings. First is resolution, and this changes depending on whether you have the rear camera connected. If you just use the front camera, then you'll get 5K at 25 frames per second and 4K and 2.5K at 30 frames per second options. If the rear camera is plugged in, then you'll get 4K for the front and 2.5K for the rear, 4K or 1080, 2.5K and 2.5K, 2.5K and 1080, 1080 and 2.5K, and 1080 and 1080 resolutions, all at 30 frames per second. The next setting is display modes, and here you can choose whether to display the front, rear or both cameras on the screen. Next is sound record, which also has that shortcut in the bottom menu on the home screen, and you can turn audio recording on or off for the dashcam footage. Then there's loop recording, which allows you to change the length of your dashcam clips from 1 to 2 or 3 minutes. Next is G sensor, which is a sensor that detects impacts, and you can change the sensitivity to low, medium, high or turn it off altogether. Fatigue reminder is an alert which tells you to have a break after 1, 2 or 3 hours, or you can turn it off altogether. The next setting is Wi-Fi, and by pressing the 2.4G or 5.8G frequencies, you'll create a connection from the G900 Pro which you can connect your phone to. I'll cover this in more detail in the next section where I go through the Wolfbox app. The next setting is volume, and this has off, low, medium and high options. Then there's click tone to turn off device sounds. Then screensaver, which turns the screen dark after periods of inactivity of 10 seconds, 30 seconds and 2 minutes. Having the screensaver off will keep the screen on all the time, so you'll always see the cameras. Screen brightness brings up the brightness slider, although there doesn't seem to be an auto brightness option. Next is exposure, to increase or decrease the brightness of footage from the front camera only. Voice control turns the feature on or off, and also brings up the numerous voice commands for hands-free control. Mirror flip flips the rear camera image to help with reversing. Rear cam flip flips the rear camera image upside down, which is useful if you choose to mount the camera in an unusual position. Reversing line allows you to switch the reversing lines between full screen display and panorama display. These lines will only come up, however, if you have the red wire on your reversing camera attached to the reversing light bulb wire of your vehicle, so when you put your vehicle in reverse, the screen knows and brings up the lines. Date stamp adds the date to your footage, and language allows you to change the device into one of 10 different languages. Clock settings allows you to change the date and time. Time format allows you to change the date to the format you're used to. Time style allows you to switch between a 12 and 24 hour clock. And DST allows you to compensate for daylight savings time. You can switch between 50 and 60 Hz to control flicker, and the UK is usually 50 Hz while the US is 60 Hz. Video encode gives options for videos in H.264 or H.265 formats. Help Center gives options for assistance with the device. Format Reminder gives regular 15 or 25-day reminders to format the SD card. And Format SD card is how you do it. Reset Setup will return the device to its factory settings. App gives you a QR code to download the app to your device. And finally, Product Information tells you about your device. It's fair to say that not only is this screen very high quality and fast, but it's also got a very nice, easy to use layout which is packed with a vast amount of functionality and adjustability so you can get the setup you want. The only thing to bear in mind is that the device can get a bit warm, with the back reaching over 50 degrees, so it can be warm to touch, but the screen is never too hot to use. There's a Wolfbox phone app which you can connect to the screen to make settings changes and view footage. To set this up, turn on the G900 Pro and tap the Wi-Fi button on the top right, or find Wi-Fi in Settings. Link the device to your phone, first by connecting to the Wi-Fi connection generated by the device on your phone. Once connected to the Wi-Fi, tap your device on the app and it'll load. You'll immediately see what your camera sees in the top image, and in the bottom right of this window have the option to turn the image horizontal. Below that there's a microphone button to turn on or off sound recording for your clips. On the left, if you have a rear camera connected too, then you can switch between cameras. In the middle of the screen are two buttons. The top one is to start or stop recording, and the bottom one is to take a photo. In the bottom left corner of the screen, the device file button will take you to view all of your footage. There are three tabs here. First is looped, which is all of your standard footage which will be overwritten eventually, and the F and R refer to front and rear cameras so you can easily tell them apart. Next is snapshot, which is all the photos you've taken. And finally locked, which is all the footage which is protected. In the bottom right corner you've got device settings, which consists of a limited menu to adjust the G900 Pro without touching the screen. First is turning sound recording on and off, then adjusting the speaker volume. Next there's video resolution, which gives you all the resolutions you can switch between. Then there's loop recording duration, which will adjust the duration of the clips you record. Below that is collision sensing, which adjusts the sensitivity of the device for detecting impacts. Next you can change units between kilometers per hour and miles per hour. And below that you can switch between the 24-hour and the 12-hour clock. Underneath are Wi-Fi details, your firmware version, the ability to format your SD card and perform a factory reset. I found the Wi-Fi to be fast to connect and the app was responsive too, but bear in mind with the app that you can't manually operate the dashcam screen with the Wi-Fi and app connected. The Wi-Fi has to be off for the touchscreen to work again, and it's only creating a local connection too, so you'll have to be near the screen to pick up Wi-Fi and connect to the app. The rear view camera offers the ability to have a rear dashcam and a reversing camera in addition to the front-facing lens. If you just want the first or both options, then you'll need to feed the long wire to the back, feed it through the inside of the rear door to the outside, and stick or screw the camera in place. The long wire will need to be hidden in the vehicle, and then the camera can be adjusted to get the right filming angle and tightened. The only difference to use this as a reversing camera is that the red wire will need to be attached to the reversing light wire, so that when you put the car in reverse, the camera knows this and the Wolfbox display will automatically bring up the reversing screen. I've created a full detailed video on how to install this type of rear view camera to the reversing light, and you should see a link to it in the top right corner, but I'll also leave a link in the description below. It's really not as difficult as you think and is well worth the effort in my opinion. The real test of the Wolfbox G900 Pro is its video quality and how well it records the road ahead and behind the vehicle. Thankfully, the 5K HDR video of the front camera is superb quality, with important details such as number plates and signs clear to read. With the rear camera added, the front resolution drops to 4K, but it's still very good quality. The 2.5K rear camera also provides a great image and is clear for recording the road and reversing. Both cameras cope very well in night conditions too, which are notoriously tricky for dash cams and cameras in general. For such impressive video quality and features, there is a higher price tag attached to the G900 Pro. It retails at £320 or $360 for the basic package, and £340 or $450 for the extended package, though there are often deals around, so it's worth having a look. There are cheaper models such as the G900, which I'll compare in the next section, as well as the G850 Pro and G840S, which might be worth looking at to save some money. If you're eyeing up the G900 Pro but are wondering what the differences are from the G900, then this section's for you. Firstly, the front camera has been upgraded to the latest Sony Starvis IMX678 sensor, while the rear camera uses the IMX335. Next, the sensor size has increased from 1/2.8 inch to 1/1.8 inch, enabling an upgrade from 5 to 8 megapixels on the front camera resolution and from 2 to 4 megapixels on the rear. For features, the G900 Pro also has Wi-Fi app control, voice control and a fatigue driving alert, which the G900 doesn't. For memory and storage, the Pro comes with a 128GB memory card, up from 64GB, and has internal memory of 8GB, up from 4GB previously. All in all, the Pro offers quite a few upgrades, most notably in resolution and image quality, which certainly appear to be worth the additional cost, with the Pro being around £50 more expensive. It's worth bearing in mind, however, that the G900 Pro is not compatible with the G900 rear camera, so if you've already done the install once, then you'd have to do it again with the new camera. The Wolfbox G900 Pro is a feature-packed dashcam system designed to enhance both safety and convenience for drivers. With up to 5K forward filming or 4K and 2.5K front and rear, it's up there with the best on the market, and the video footage speaks for itself. The G900 Pro couples a great dashcam with practical functionality. The clear 12-inch touchscreen, advanced settings, parking surveillance and GPS tracking make it a really comprehensive device. I do feel that the sticky pad mount is pretty bulky, as there are some small amounts available for other devices, but it's great to have multiple mounting options to cater for different vehicles and setups. Overall, you're getting a high quality device with cutting edge features and top tier performance that will elevate the technology of any vehicle. If you'd like to get one for yourself, check out the links below, and don't forget to use the code LensOfJames at checkout to save 20% off your order. If you've enjoyed this video and think I've earned it, please take a moment to like the video, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be the first to see more videos like this. Thanks for watching.